Marketer of the Day, Episode 625. Recurring Passive Income from Membership Sites. Get out of idea mode, let your customers vote using their wallets, and milestone your way to internet marketing success. Hey everyone, this is Robert Plank and my website is membershipcube.com, and that is the course where we are going to show you how to create your very own membership site. And we're going to show you how to get it all done, how to start small, how to get something selling, how to get your first member, and then ramp up. Even if you tried before and failed, even if you previously thought that it was out of the scope, the realm of your possibility, we're going to make that technical stuff simple for you over at membershipcube.com. That's membershipcube.com. And this is Robert Plank, and if you don't know me, I'm the technical guy who makes the whole process of a book, a podcast, a membership site, a website simple for you. And I want to give a couple of quick shout outs to some people who sent in some questions for this week. Howard Hopgood, Julie Robitaille, Vernon Jeter, Joe Donnelly. And those people replied to an email where I asked, how's your membership site doing? What stage, what phase is it in? And a lot of people said that they're stuck in idea mode. Either they're stuck in idea mode, or in the past they've maybe gotten about halfway through creating the content and then they quit, and they're so discouraged because they feel like they're at less than zero, right? It's one thing to say, well, I want a membership site, I haven't started, but it's another thing to say that, well, I started in the past and I did some stuff, but then I gave up, so I feel like I'm even retreading something old. I have all this baggage, I have all these bad thoughts about this membership site I created in the past, and you know what? You're not alone, and that's also okay. We all go through those false starts. We've all been there, and we've all have things that are incomplete, and that we look back and say, oh, you know, that thing that I started on, I was excited about it at one point, and I really should have followed through, and now looking back, I have that guilt. And so we're here to help get you out of that. And so I have a quick assignment for you as we're getting ramped up, as you're thinking about some of this stuff, and that is to write down 3 small goals and then email them to me. And small can mean whatever it is that you want. Maybe small means that you decide on the name of your membership site, you register that domain name, you record one simple video, then maybe that means that you fire up Camtasia or a piece of software called OBS to film even a half an hour tutorial video. But write down 3 small goals and then email those over to me at robert@robertplank.com, and I'll get that. I'll get that via email, and that's robert@robertplank.com. And so maybe even if you're driving right now, maybe pull over the car, or whenever you get to your destination, don't wait. Write down those goals or type them out even, or maybe write them down first, then type them out in an email to me. And if you're at the computer, send me the goal right now as we're talking, or pause this podcast, because I'm really curious about you and what you have going on. And for a couple of years, when I was first starting at this internet marketing stuff, I had the lack of consistency. In every possible way, right? In the motivation, productivity, time management, getting things done, income, everything was just a roller coaster. It was all up and down. And looking back at it, I think that my flaw was I thought that I was so dang smart. I had the huge ego, but at the same time, I was really down on myself. And maybe you can relate to that. And I think that the answer, if you can relate to that at all, of thinking, you know, I've seen everything, I know everything, I'm so smart, but yet why am I not doing anything? The answer is to just get back to basics if those things aren't working. If your current strategy, system, structure is not suiting you, well, then you need a new structure. And I mean, I see a lot of people who they know what it is that they need to do, and they come to me with their problem, and I give them an easy solution, and they say, oh yeah, well, I'm in total agreement with you. Like, what I should be doing is get that website completed as quick as possible. I know that what I should be doing is asking my subscriber list what solution they want me to help them with. So let's say you're in the real estate niche and you have a small email list, then send a few emails to that list and ask them, well, where are you struggling with your real estate? Are you looking to become a professional realtor? Are you looking to flip or buy and hold or do some kind of advanced real estate? And they say, oh, yeah, you know what? You're totally right. That's what I should be doing. But then I follow up a couple of months later and life got in the way. Other things got in the way. And we all have those struggles. We all have that self-doubt. But it's really important for you to get into the habit of doing things even if you don't feel like doing things in the moment. And I say in the moment because at some point you wanted to do it. And, our moods come and go. And sometimes you set that goal and you say, you know what, this is the thing I want to do the most. I want to quit my job, quit that 9 to 5, and then create this whole business for myself. And then maybe that's your thought on Monday. But then by the time Wednesday, Thursday, Friday rolls around, you're like, you know what, I just want to kind of relax and goof off. But then it's important to think back about why you started and remember that mindset that you were in when you were excited. So I would say that 20% of the time you're going to be excited and you're going to make all these grandiose plans, and the other 80% of the time you won't be excited. That's just how it is. That's just life, right? So that 80% of the time that you're not, maybe you're a little excited, but you're not at peak excitement, that's the time to remind yourself to just do it and just make some money and go ahead and complete those tasks anyway. Is it always fun to debug code? Is it always fun to answer support tickets? Is it always fun to write sales copy? Well, no, it's not fun 100% of the time, but Henry Ford said that whether you can, or whether you think you can or you think you can't, then you're right. So no one said that it was a given in life that you would be happy all the time, but you can choose to be happy if and when it suits you. But I just want to tell you here, right now, that your productivity can be turned on like a switch if you know about your habits and your triggers, and you know about getting in state, and you know what gets you going, and you can take a break if things aren't working, and if you set real deadlines for yourself and you have real achievable goals, smart goals, right, that are simple, measurable, actionable, results-based, and time-bound, you do those things and you get to different milestones in your business. And so that might mean, well, okay, and so this relates to what I heard a lot about people saying about their membership site struggles. I hear people saying, well, you know what, Robert Plank, you have all these things set up. And I'm not saying like, oh, Robert Plank, you're so great. But people say, I see that Robert Plank has all these websites, all these products, all this software, all these plugins. And I want to remind people like that about a little something called 80-20. And that means that only 20% of the stuff I have out there right now is really a hot seller. And I'm reluctant to even admit that, because then people say, oh, well, great. That means that I'm going to have to create 5 websites. I'm going to have to make 5 products. I'm going to have to do 5 launches, and 4 out of 5 of those will flop, and 1 will be the big payday. So now I have to do 5 products. And what am I going to do? I'm going to think of 5 niches I can be in, and I'm going to think of 5 names I can name my products, and I need to think of 5 logos. I need to set up 5 different sites, and then it's the work that's completely setting yourself up for failure. That's total self-sabotage. You can't work in parallel. You have to get things knocked out one at a time. And for all you know, that first product you put out there is going to be your hit. And then while the money is rolling in from product number 1, while you're cashing in on that, maybe you put out products 2, 3, and 4 over a period of a few months. And then those just do okay. Those get you by. And that leads you down the path to what you really should be doing. I mean, when I first put out my very first information product was called Simple PHP. And it was an ebook on how to code. And that led me down a path of creating different plugins, different software, different platforms. But I wouldn't have gotten to where I am now unless I had released things, unless I had kept things simple and kept things shippable, and put out the little products, the little books, the little videos, built the list, put out the free content, because you're never going to be 100% efficient. The best you can probably hope for is to be 20% efficient. And so I say all that just to say that you need to consistently put things out there, and I don't want you to get overwhelmed from all the things that you should be doing, because a lot of people they look at what the end result will be, and they completely let themselves get overwhelmed. They decide there's so much work ahead of me, and I mean, I don't think that that's really true. I think that the amount of work ahead of you is whatever you decide it to be, and whatever it needs to be in order to get to where you need to go. And you have to start somewhere. So you see people out there and you compare their outsides to your insides, and you see that they have this whole product line, but you don't realize that only a little bit of that is their top seller. And so the point of pumping out the products, the point of getting your customers to vote with their wallets, is to figure out what's going to be your hot sellers. And then once you put out different things, then you can focus on what's making you money, and you can focus on what you enjoy. And I'm going to look up what the term for that is. Okay, the term for that is Ikigai. Ikigai. And it looks like a little bit of a Venn diagram of 4 overlapping circles that basically mean passion, mission, profession, vocation, what you're good at, what you love, what you get paid for, and what the world needs is the ideal spot. And you're not always going to know that, because you might have to try out different information products, different videos, different membership sites to figure out what you want to talk about. And then you might put out different things to figure out what actually interests people. And that doesn't mean you need to be in 5 niches. You should be in one single niche and then drill down into what's important. But remember the problem that you're solving. Okay, so a lot of people, they say, oh, you know what? I don't even know what to do. Should I put out YouTube videos? Should I create a Udemy course? Should I help someone to teach them how to sell on Etsy, or how to knit cable knit sweaters? Where you're looking for Ikigai, right? You're looking for the overlap of what you're good at, what you love, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for. And so there are people out there, more and more these days, in fact, that are looking for the solutions to their problems. So in my case, maybe they're looking to set up a website, but in your case, they could be looking into how to get established on eBay, how to set up an income as an affiliate marketer, how to make money from voiceovers, how to make money with their drone. And more often than not, the thing that people are looking for is how to make more money, but not always, right? There are hobby niches such as guitar, where people will throw in a lot of money just for the purposes of looking cool, but people are looking for some kind of a benefit, and they're not getting it. That's why they're on message boards. That's why they're doing Google searches. That's why they're looking around the internet. Just think about how many diet courses and diet books and diet products are out there. So your job there is to find people with a problem and then help them solve their problem. And don't let yourself get overwhelmed, or don't let yourself get carried away with all these pie-in-the-sky grandiose ideas, because in programming terms, that's called scope creep. That means that you started off and you wanted to do something simple, but then it grew and grew and grew, and then you bit off more than you can chew, so to speak, and you just have all these huge crazy plans, and you never even got started. So shut out the distractions, shut out all the millions of choices, because unless you do, you're going to be trapped in that bubble of mediocrity, and then you're going to let yourself get overwhelmed by the guilt, the criticism, the self-doubt. So first of all, the place to go is membershipcube.com, and that will get you on a course where we will give you the tools that you need, we'll give you the guidance that you need, we'll take you step by step, because if piecing together all the blog posts, the free articles, the YouTube videos, the advice from people on Facebook groups, message boards, if you feel like that's pulling you in 1,000 different directions, then maybe it's time to focus and go in just one direction and buy a course and follow it and get it done. And getting it done doesn't mean that you're finished forever, but it means that first membership site that you have there is done. There's a button out there that someone can click and buy from you. And if you think about in those terms, then maybe you'll feel better that Okay, the problem right now could be that you just don't have a button that I can click on and buy. And if you created that button that I could click on and buy, even if it's ugly, even if no one is looking at that web page and that button right now, then that's still a start. And then you can focus on just getting eyeballs to that web page. But if you're trying to solve 10 problems at once, if you say, I don't have a website, I don't have a buy button, I also don't have traffic, and I also don't have an idea, I don't have a membership site, I don't have content, I don't have a product, do you see how you're already getting overwhelmed? So knock out one thing at a time, and the low-hanging fruit for you is to narrow down the one thing you're going to do this month. It doesn't have to be forever, but out of that big long to-do list you have of 5, 10, 15 half-finished projects, what's the one that jumps out at you the most? What's the one that you could reasonably get completed in about a week or so? If you had a couple of videos done and you say, I've got the videos planned, I just need to film them, then get that one thing done, get it behind a paywall, get it on a membership site, put a button on it, and then you can just focus on getting people to see that button. And I'd like to spend about 30 seconds here to remind you how important it is to practice this thing called self-care. And for me, that means walking. And I like to walk multiple times a day, sometimes for a couple of hours at a time, just to unplug, relax, rewind, wind down, and then let the ideas flow. And sometimes I'll walk around town, I'll walk around the neighborhood, I'll go to this cool park that's surrounded by forests and trees, which is a lot of fun. Can't go there today, it's kind of rainy today, so I think I'll just stay in town. But some days I'll let things slip, right? We all let things slip. And then a few days will pass and I hadn't gone for a walk, and then I'll wonder why things aren't working. Is because that I hadn't stuck to those things that have been working for me. And when you were younger, maybe you didn't know what got you energized and what didn't, but over the years, I think you've accumulated somewhat of that inventory, somewhat of that list. You know what interests you and doesn't interest you, so it's time to revisit that swipe file, so to speak, and plug into those things that are working for you, whether that's running, exercising, walking, things like riding your bike, driving, things like that. Whatever gets you back to that energized mode, to that flow state, even if you don't feel at first like doing it, go ahead and do it anyway. Because if you're burned out, that just means that you need to have better goals. If you have a lack of follow through, that means that you need accountability. That means that you need to tell people, and that might be someone you know or just someone publicly on the internet, tell people what it is you're going to do, and then circle back around, follow up with them when you have or have not done that thing. Get someone else involved. If you feel like you haven't made progress, well, then don't let the anxiety, guilt, overwhelm get to you. Just devote 20 minutes. If you're sitting in front of the TV later today and you feel bad that it's been months since you worked on your book, or it's been forever since you worked on your membership site, then just set a timer for 20 minutes. Even if you don't really feel like doing it in the moment, just do 20 minutes anyway, and I guarantee that you'll feel better, because many times we just need to make that first step, right? So it's kind of like, if you think about it in terms of, if you ever wanted to go back to school, back to college, the first step is to order a catalog or pick up a catalog from that college and figure out what classes you'll take. If there's a phone call that you've been needing to make, well, then maybe hop in the bathtub or the hot tub and make a phone call from there, so that way at least you get it done some way, somehow. But motivation comes and goes, and you don't need motivation to take action. It is nice, though, if you have it. And the way to get your motivation back is to be around people that interest you. And that might mean that you need to join a mastermind or get a buddy to have coffee with or go to a meetup. Motivation means that you hit milestones, that you make progress, that you see results. And some people don't believe me, but then I ask them a question like this. Well, you're afraid of creating that membership site or doing that webinar, but what if I paid you $100,000 to do a 1 hour webinar? What if I paid you $1 million to run a 1 hour webinar? what if someone paid you $500,000 to create a membership site? Would you do it? Well, you'd probably say, yeah, I'd find a way to overcome and suck it up and do it. So then the answer there is, well, you would find a way to do it. But then what if someone only paid you $75,000 to make your membership site? You'd probably still do it. What if someone only paid you $10,000, $5,000 to make that membership site? There's probably a point where you wouldn't do it, right? If it fell to maybe like $50, but probably even for a few $100s, a few $1,000s, you'd still make that membership site. So it's not a matter of yes or no. It's a matter of how much would you actually do it for. And if you find yourself, if I'm asking you these questions and they're making you a little bit uncomfortable, or if your mind, if your thoughts just feel twisted in knots and you're immediately saying, well, I wouldn't do it, or I want to do it and I don't want to do it, well, then the answer there is journaling. The answer there is to get a piece of paper or open up a Evernote document or a Google document on your iPad and just start typing. Just start typing about what you're feeling, what's going through your head, and also about what questions would you ask yourself, knowing that you'll get some kind of an answer. And it might not be the best answer. You might have a better answer tomorrow. But think about that. Open up that Google document and just literally type, what is the name of my membership site, ? And then list out a couple of possible answers. In that document, ask yourself, what price will I charge? Will I charge $10 at first and then walk the price up? Will I charge $7? Cool, there we go. Now that's done. So let me tell you a couple of quick stories, and then I'll give you some membership advice, and then we'll wind this down. And if you're already sick of listening to me, the place to go is membershipcube.com. But let me tell you a couple quick things. One thing is that I have created products that solve problems again and again, and I was the most excited when I was solving a real person's problem. So about 10 plus years ago, I was hanging out on a message board called the Warrior Forum, and it's not quite as good as happening as it used to be, but there would be a lot of internet marketers there, and I'd hang out there because sometimes I'd get buyers from there, I'd get traffic from there. Sometimes I'd get ideas from there. Sometimes I'd find out about competitors from there. But people are, and still are, asking about this thing called copywriting, how to make what's called a sales letter, how to add persuasive language to a web page to convince people to buy from you, to click that PayPal digital payment button, whatever processor you use, and then give you money online, and then get a set of videos or get a piece of software in return. And so people are posting on this message board, and some people were asking about how to do copywriting, how to write sales copy. And there was a lot of bad advice or like rehashed advice, and I wasn't satisfied with any of the answers. A lot of it just kind of seemed made up. And so at the time, I'd written over 1,002 pages of sales copy, and so I began to write what began as like a list of bullet points, and then I went to those bullet points and expanded each one to like kind of a longer tip. And then I was like, you know what, this is more of like a step-by-step process, and these are the phases that I go through. I go through this stage and that stage when I'm putting together a persuasive web page. And it grew and grew. And I looked at this maybe half a page I'd written, and I thought to myself, I don't want to just give this away for free on a message board reply where it's going to be gone in a couple of weeks. And maybe you feel the same way if you're making a reply in a Facebook post, right? Someone's asking a question on a Facebook group, and they're going to get 30 different replies, and they're going to pick and choose which of those replies they wanted to hear, and they're going to ignore maybe the harsh, more helpful advice. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm not going to even post this on a message board. I'm going to make this a blog post. So I took the text I was about to reply to this person, and I put it into a blog post. My blog is marketeroftheday.com. And that's probably what you're listening to this podcast there right now, right? So anyway, I went to make it a blog post, and then it became maybe another page or two. And then I thought to myself, well, I don't want to just give this big long thing away as a blog post. So then I copied the text out of that and pasted it into a Word document. And then I wrote a couple more pages. I added some templates. I added a few ideas, swipe file, and saved it as a PDF document. And then I took that PDF document and I uploaded it and I put it in a folder. I registered a .com domain name, which was fastfoodcopywriting.com. And then I wrote a web page, a simple one long single web page that gave people a few reasons why they'd want to buy this PDF guide. Then I said, you know what? This one sentence makes more sense as a giant, bolded, red, centered headline. And then some of this makes more sense as a few bullet points. And then I created a payment button where someone could click and pay $27 and then get access to this PDF report. And that product sold over 1,000 copies. And then along the way, I recorded a couple of extra videos. One was of me just reading the PDF report aloud. Another was me demonstrating some of those copywriting techniques in action. But $27,000 plus that started just as a forum reply. And if I had sat and if I had pontificated and if I had thought, let me think about what's the history of copywriting, then I would have never got it done, because that wouldn't have been exciting enough. There would have been no urgency. But because I was helping a real person, I was answering a real person's question, then that flew out of me. And then I created a sequel of that called 5-Minute Copywriting. And that was, again, I was flying home from some kind of a networking event. I had a 90-minute layover at an airport. I was looking at some of these message boards again with people asking about swipe files and how to create sales letters even faster, and about templates. So I whipped out what's called a mind map on my laptop. I was waiting. I was at my gate waiting for my flight to come in, and I used a mind map, and you can hook into this at mindmeister.com. So a mind map is a way that you can list thought bubbles and drag them to be within other thought bubbles and rearrange the order of things, and it helps to get your structure clear. So 90 minutes, I whipped out that other book called 5-Minute Copywriting for $27, and that one sold pretty well. I don't think it sold quite as well as the original, but I did a lot of fun things, like I sold that on its own. I added some bonuses to that. I made that as an upsell to some other stuff. So that was something that I connected into my existing funnel, and that was just one extra piece in that whole spider web of all these products that I created over the years. I didn't make them all at once. I made them one at a time, and I cranked them out, not necessarily knowing what the big picture was and not knowing what the product after that was going to be. I just saw a problem out there and I found a solution. And I'm sure that you see problems out there all over the place, right? Maybe someone out there is looking to lose weight, and you know exactly what to tell them. You know exactly what to tell them as far as what to eat, what to do, how to exercise, the time management stuff, how to get over the plateaus, how to not get stuck, meal plans, and there's some kind of a package you could put together that instead of you having to answer each person individually, you can just create something that you can sell over and over again. And that's why membership sites are so great. And that's why you shouldn't overthink membership sites. Think of membership sites in these terms as one problem, one solution, get people from point A to point B, because that's where you start. And then you create what's called a proof of concept. Someone has a problem, you create a solution that might just be a list, a PDF document, a little bit of a plan, some bullet points. I mean, something that's even a quick 10 pages. And then when that sells, then you can add videos, then you can add bonuses, then you can add drip content, and then you can make it more of like a 30-day plan. But crawl before you run. Show that this thing that you create is not just something that interests you, but is also something that sells. And there's no rule out there on the internet that says that when you create something once, you're completely done. I mean, you can put out a Kindle book that's only 20 pages long with a huge, large font, and then when it sells, you can make it 30 pages, you can make it 40 pages. Over and over again, my business partner Lance Tomashiro and I have put out these digital information products where we started off very, very simply. We put out a site called setupafanpage.com, and it was just a 10-page PDF document with mostly screenshots, and I think it was maybe $15, and it showed how to go on Facebook, create a fan page, post some content, where to get the content to make it a no-brainer, then run some ads, and then fill it up with fans, and then later on turn around and monetize that page by plugging in affiliate links and things like that. And we sold that, and it was just a 10-page document for $15, sold a ton. And then we said, all right, well, now we're going to make version 2.0, and we're going to make it a 4-module course, a class where we create different videos showing different things. And then years later, we were playing around on a marketplace called Amazon. Maybe you've heard of it, but when you go to Amazon.com and you go and you find a kitchen spatula or a Bluetooth speaker or an Android tablet, and you see that someone is selling that, well, that might just that's not necessarily being sold by Amazon or even a huge company. That just might be sold by someone from their home. And especially sometimes, say you go to Amazon and you go to find a print book, right? Not one of those fancy schmancy, it appears on your tablet books, but like a print physical book that you can hold in your hand. And sometimes you go to buy it, and it might say, well, you can buy it new, or you can buy it used, or you can buy it from one of these 10 sellers. Well, each and every one of those sellers signed up to Amazon and then said, hey, I have this item in my inventory, I can sell that. So me and Lance had a lot of fun selling a few items in our inventory, and we ran a live event in Las Vegas showing some of that, and we saw, when we did that, it's kind of to get the bugs worked out. So we showed people what we were doing, and then people asked us questions, and we figured out how to better clarify that sort of thing. And then we said, okay, well, now we have somewhat of a step-by-step system. We have somewhat of an opportunity for people to tap into. And we said, well, here's our system. You use your phone, you install this app on your phone, you walk into these retail discount stores like Big Lots, you scan the barcodes, you choose specific items, you stay away from these aisles, you focus on those aisles, you pay attention to this kind of criteria. So you say, well, when I scan that item with the barcode in the store, is it listed on Amazon for triple the price? And is it an item that I can sell and hold in my hands? And does the app that I scan show that this item on Amazon is a hot, fast seller? And does the app show that I'm allowed to sell in this category? And if all those things are true, then you load up the shopping cart with those sorts of things, or you load up the shopping cart with a handful of those, and then you list them. And then we say, we'll send a few of those into Amazon's warehouse, so that way if it sells, Amazon can instantly mail those out, but then keep a couple on hand in your at home or in your office for your own inventory, so that way you can also sell a few of those items, and you only have to ship them out when you've made those sales. And so then we said, this is our step-by-step process. And a lot of people out there who were trying to piece these things together for free on the message boards were saying, well, what about when I have to pay taxes, and where am I going to store all this stuff, and what brand of Scotch tape should I use? And meanwhile, people were getting hung up on the smallest of difficulties, and we were saying, there are things to figure out, but the first thing to figure out is how to make this work for you, how to make money with it. And people were saying, well, what if I want to buy this fancy scale, and what if I want to rent a loading dock and hire employees? And we're saying, those are all things that can come later. But what is the number one most important thing right now? Getting it online, making money. In the same way with membership sites, people are so concerned with things like drip content, with things like having 10 different bonuses, with changing the world, with getting 10,000 people paying them $5 a month. And I'm saying, what if you just sold something for just $10, knowing that it's not going to be $10 forever, knowing that you're putting these things out there to see how well they're selling. You're doing what's called a proof of concept. And so we've helped a lot of people create their proof of concept and to put their website out there and to see some early results and then get encouraged by those and then create more and more stuff whenever they wanted to make money. That way they built this asset that makes money without them having to do a lot of work. And our favorite person who did this is Our coaching client, Dr. Charles Runnels, he's the inventor of the O-Shot and the Vampire Facelift, which Kim Kardashian used. And he is a doctor who uses this stuff called platelet-rich plasma, and he created this procedure and trademarked it, and then teaches other doctors how to use it. He teaches them how to use it. He lists them in a directory. He trains them on their marketing. So he started with something simple. He figured out how to do a thing. Then he taught people how to do the thing that he does. And then as more people used it and he saw how they used it and they asked him could you add this or could you add that? And he tried out something else. And over time, he built this thing up, and it didn't happen overnight, but he built it up with milestones. So my recommendation for you is to really think about this today, is to think about in your space, what are 10 questions, and some of those questions could even be objections about what it is that you do. So let's say that you help people how to get financing, a business loan, funding for their business. Well, maybe people have specific problems with that. Maybe people say, I would do that, but what about blank, right? What about X? How do I navigate the red tape? What should I stay away from? I'm worried about this affecting me personally. So think about 10 questions that maybe you hear over and over from people who've hired you in the past or people that you've helped in the past. What are those 10 questions? Because that's your starting point. That's the jumping off point for the solutions you're going to create. So think about what are those questions and what are the solutions, and then can you rearrange those into a workable step-by-step system? And a system doesn't have to be something super duper crazy. A system could be just what can someone do in 30 minutes to get some sort of results. And it's not going to be perfect, but picture one exact single person in your mind that has a problem that you know how to solve, and what guide would you give to them? What 10-page PDF document would you show to them with some bullet points and maybe some photos, examples, screenshots to help them get to where they're going? And just create that one single solution and sell it online for $7 one time and put it in behind a membership site. Again, we give you the tools and the training for that at membershipcube.com. And the best part about creating one of these single payment, one-time, low-ticket membership sites is that that's the first step, is that you create this product, this download, this deliverable, this video, this PDF, right? That is in your download area. And then you take one step back from that and you create what's called a payment button, right? I'm sure you've clicked to check out on a cart at some point, right? Or you've clicked a PayPal payment button. So then you create that button where someone clicks the button, they pay you money, they get access to that download area. You take one step back from that and you say, I'm going to create a single web page, what's called a sales letter. They go to whatever the name of my website is .com, and they see what it is that I'm selling, and at the bottom is a button. So someone sees that on my website, they know that I'm explaining the problem that they have. They see on this web page that I can relate to their problem, that I have a solution, and then they see the details of that solution. They click a button, they buy, they go to the download area, they use it. And then when it comes time for you to increase your prices, oh, I know, increasing your prices is so scary. Well, you know what that increasing prices means? It means you change a number. So maybe you increase to $17, to $97. Maybe you add a couple of extra bonuses. You add an audio, you add a live coaching call, you add a webinar, whatever it is. And then when you add more things, you increase the price. And then when you increase the price, you can then change up that button and make it a payment plan or a recurring button. But going from $7 to $17 to $97 to $497, and then saying, well, it's $500, but now it's 10 payments of $50, that's more doable. That's more of a stepping stone than just jumping to this $50 a month monthly recurring site where you feel like it's a chore. It feels like it's 2 years out of your life. You feel like you have to create 3 years of content before you even make it. A better way to go about things is to start small, prove that it works, get your customers to vote with their wallets, work on getting traffic to your site, because traffic is the slowest part of it, and traffic means you get affiliates to promote. It means that you do the Facebook Lives. And the tools we give you for that are at membershipcube.com, where we show you everything. We show you how to develop that idea, register a .com domain name, set up WordPress, and install Wishlist Member, and we even give you a one-click template for all of that, so that way you can create that sales letter that someone sees, the payment button that someone clicks and buys, the download page they get to, and then you can add in the bells and whistles later on. You can add a grid, a dashboard. You can add upsells. You can sell all of your products in one single membership site. You can add drip content later if you want to drip out bonuses and things like that. You can add a checklist using our plugin called WP Notepad. You can collect physical addresses using our WP Kunaki plugin, and that way you have more than one way to keep in touch with someone. You can collect their phone numbers. That way you can send them a thank you call or a thank you postcard. We love send out cards for that sort of stuff. We love lulu.com to send a printed manual, and you can get a printed manual of Membership Cube sent to your door. We use Kunaki to print DVDs, and DVDs aren't really such a thing anymore. Streaming is still a thing, but if you want to send someone DVDs, that is the way to print on demand that as well. So get to the proof of concept stage, set up your website, and even if it is a super low, small ticket item, sell that, get a handful of sales for that, and don't feel bad if your first attempt isn't that great. Don't feel bad if you put a lot of work into something and you only made a couple of $100, especially if your list is small. I mean, math is math. You know, if you have a list of only a couple hundred subscribers and you only make a handful of sales at $10, that's still good. That's still a good ratio. It just means that you've created something that works. You just need to pour more gasoline on the fire. It means that you need to market your product to your list more, and it means you need to build your list and get some traffic. But now you've solved one piece of the problem, which was creating that information product. And I just want to say that if you're hesitating, it's probably because of lack of confidence. And some people are in denial about that. Some people don't want to admit that low self-esteem is the real reason why they haven't created their membership site yet, or they haven't made it a priority. They haven't set a deadline. There's no urgency because it is safer to give up before you started, right? If you don't try, there's no chance that you can fail. And that's a really scary place to be. And if that's you, if that's what you're thinking about, if that's what's going through your head right now, then I would say, first of all, just do it anyway. But that is something to look into and get it over with. And the best way to get over it is to get yourself some results and show yourself that it can work, and maybe redefine for you what success with your membership site is. And that means that if your list is small, then anything better than 0 sales is progress. And even if, let's say that you did all this work and you only made $50, well, guess what? You made $50 at first. And then maybe your goal for next month is to just make 5 more sales. But set these achievable goals and slowly ramp up over time. Don't think it needs to be like you won the lottery. So if you made $3 million, you're a success. If not, then you're not a success, because a lot of people out there only show you a small slice of what's actually going on. You always hear about people with their product launches, right? Their multi-million-dollar product launch. And many times it took them a year or two of being at $0 to make the $1 million. So let's say that they went for 2 years with nothing, and then they made their $1 million launch, and then half of that goes to affiliates, 20% of that goes to their refunds because it was a big hyped up product launch, and then other things go to their upkeep, their virtual assistant, and maybe when all is said and done, they made $100,000 over the course of 2 years. So here you are stressing out that you haven't had a $1 million launch when that person only really made $50,000 a year. And if you put out a product that maybe makes you 80 sales of $100, if you ramp it up to the point where it's $8,000 a month, that's $100,000 a year. Now let's double what Mr. Million Dollar Product Launch actually made. And you know what? You shouldn't be comparing yourself to other people anyway, because it's such an exercise in futility. It's so unhealthy. No one is exactly like you. No one's on the same path that you've been on. Some people get lucky. Some people are older than others. Some people have different skill sets. So you are on your own path. But I would say that what is a little bit of a motivating factor is if you see competitors out there, well, first of all, befriend them. Don't just shut yourself out from them. But if you see other people in your space, that's a good sign. Dan Kennedy says that pioneers get arrows put in their backs. So if you see competitors out there who are selling all over the place, there's so many weight loss courses, for example, then that means that it's been proven to work. And you could tell yourself that you could make something better than what they created. You could put your own spin on things and do a way better job, and you don't copy. You just create a better implementation. And it's important to get to that feedback loop where you help people, and then you see the results they get, and they tell you the next thing that you should create, and then you create that, and they tell you the next thing that you should create, and over time you're getting more traffic, building your list, you're solving more problems, and you're making more steps on your own journey towards just having an easier time making these membership sites. You get used to your favorite WordPress theme. You know where things are. You get better at registering these domain names or cranking out a sales letter, or maybe even you copy parts of your old sales letter, and that way you can use it on future projects. But that first membership site that you create might be a little tougher than the others, in the same way that the first week you drove a car might have been really tough. The first time you tied your shoes was really tough, but the more you did it, the better you got. And imagine if you'd given up on walking, driving, tying your shoes. Imagine where you'd be now. Imagine if you gave up learning math. Remember in school how frustrating it was to learn grammar, learn how to write, learn how to read, learn math? But you got through it, and now you're glad that you did. In the same way that I'm sure you're glad that you're going to create your membership site at membershipcube.com. Make sure to send those 3 small goals to robert@robertplank.com. And if you're stuck, if you want to bounce some ideas off me as far as your membership site, then that's where you can find me, robert@robertplank.com. And if your problem is lack of focus, lack of motivation, don't know what to do, then the answer is to join our course at membershipcube.com. That's membershipcube.com, membershipcube.com, because first of all, you're going to have some skin in the game. You're going to have the actual tools that you need to use, because piecing together all the free stuff is not a business. And you'll have these step-by-step milestones to create something simple, create something low ticket, create something that you can sell for one time, and then see how people like it, see what people give you feedback about that, create version 2.0, increase the price, add a payment plan, add upsells, and make it better. But it doesn't get better overnight. You start with those small steps. So we'll see you over there at membershipcube.com. This is Robert Plank.